Okay, so this our workstation 1 is gone off now. So let's try to install the our server here. So the same process, go to File, New Virtual Machine. This one is not compiled yet, so you have to go through that process from scratch. Next, and the image, Windows Server, Windows Server 2012 Standard Edition. That's what we're going to be using. If you have the 2016, that's great. You can use that option, or you can use that as well. I'm using this. I'm going to make another video with the 2016, which is going to be purely command based. So I show a lot more of the system admin part of configuring Windows servers. But for the 22, I just want it to be, the Windows part where you do the click options. Okay. So if you're more advanced, you want to go into the command line administration of Windows Server administrations. Then the 2016 version that I'm going to be doing, that should be what you should be looking out for. Okay. But for this, is just the Windows, the click options. Next, no activation key yet. We don't have the key, so forget about that. Name, it's not username over here. Okay, so well, let's try use a key name then. We'll delete this later and then change that. Um, for admin, let's include password. Let's include password over here. No password, just log in directly. So next, yes, later we'll do that. And with the same thing with this part, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a folder for managing purposes, for easy assessing of folders purposes. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna create some, or for easy location of my VMware, I'm gonna create another folder, new folder, and this would probably be called AD server or ADSVR, and then I'll store the this guest operating system on it, and I'm going to name the name as such, ADSVR. So next, this is going to be a server, so at least we should give it enough storage space. I'm going to just use 20. I think it's something huge, but 20 is about okay to go with. Because it's just a lab setup, lab demonstration, so nothing to. If we're doing some storage, implementation, then I'll probably say let's go for a higher drive capacity or disk capacity. But for now, 20 is okay. Next, and then now let's go back to customizing the hardwares. We want memory is 2 gig. That's not bad. That's good. 2 gig is okay for a server, but at least but too much. If you have enough memory, make it 4 gig instead, so your server can run a bit more efficiently for you or smoothly for you. Processor, let's double it up. Two processor with 2 cores, so 4 processor, like an i4 processor, and then the adapter here. Adapter can be NAT for the server. It has to be part of the switch. That's we connect to the switch. So we pick a LAN segment and then the switch that we have, and then click on any other option, and that should show up. Make sure it registers. So basically, drawing the server is also connected to that virtual switch or LAN 1. Okay, for the rest, just defaults, leave them alone. Close and then finish. So once that's added up, and then it's powered up automatically if it was activated or was indicated. So it's not powering up. So now we have only the network server and then the Windows server that we're about to install. So at least we have a bit of system resource to work with. We don't want our machine to slow down in this process. That's why I turn off the Windows 7 workstation here. So at least we only have two to worry about. So your Windows server is starting up. The installation is it does take some time, but not too long. Um, I'm just gonna let it go through it, and we'll see. When it gets to the file downloads, percentage wise, let me pull up the screen. So we have copying files. When this all set up, uh, then we should be good. We should be good to go. Now the time for this to finish, sometimes it might take a while depending on um, your processing speed capacity, memory, and what have you. Um, so I'm just gonna uh, take some few minutes to see how far I can go. Um, and then we'll see how else to take it from there. So 7% now. It's going through. 10%. This is pretty much moving faster than I thought. It's moving a bit faster, so that's good. Yeah, it's a bit faster. Okay, we getting past most of the installation, and we are now at the final stages. I had to pause the video because of the time. Anyway, so once it goes through all of those procedures or steps, that's what you're basically going to see. So just finalizing the installation now. So Windows Server should be up very soon. The Windows already loading. Um, should be up very soon. Windows servers, I mean, like I said, depending on your operating system specs, or so your machine specs, it could take some time, uh, but it should be all right, Just be patient with it, It's just a matter of patience. Be patient with it; it will come up, um, and then you know what to do after that. But it's just a basic installation of a Windows operating system, a Windows Server operating system. It's usually the services that you set up that takes the time, or that shows the level of understanding. So for the installation, it's just like any other installation, like installing Windows 10 or Windows 7 operating system. There's not much to it. Like I said, it's usually the services that you want to add. That's where your knowledge or understanding of how the services are set up comes into play, and that's what we're about to get into. Because this Windows server here is going to act as our Active Directory service server, so it's going to house our directory services as well as our DNS resolution. So two services that we're going to enable on it to help us manage our end devices with login credentials and what have you, create profiles on for various accounts and create organization units as well. So those are the tricky part, the much more lesson based part that you should be focusing on. Like I said, installation is just pretty straightforward. There's not much to it. Okay, so it's going through the setup, the finalization of the installation process. So just folks, just bear with me for now. It should come out very soon, and then we'll delve into the service setup itself, or the services setup itself. And once this is done, we're gonna add the first thing we're gonna be looking out for is creating a static IP address for our server. Now servers generally provide specific services on a network. So ideally, they are required to have static IP configurations, not dynamic. Okay, and in those circumstances, should you configure your servers that provide specific resources to your network setup with dynamic IPs? It just doesn't really make sense in any shape or form. It should always be static. So that when installation is done, the first thing I'm going to do is set up a static IP address for our server, as well as create a password for administrator. So at least admin would have that login credentials or that password credentials to access um, the server. Okay, looks like we almost through. So we get in there, the server interface is loading, and we should see the server dashboard or the server management window load up very soon with the entire desktop uh, setups or set the icons and what have you. Okay, so it's coming up. Oh, and then I think I picked the data center version. You have that option to pick various versions: standard version, data center version, virtual, hypervisor versions, or what have you. A number of versions, or I mean, in terms of modules for the server implementation should be. That was a default. So the default was the data center um, uh, version or module that got picked up. It shouldn't be a problem at all. And um, these are about the same features anyway. So this happens to be your server manager dashboard. This is your VMware. This is a VM tool installing, so you can navigate back and forth within your virtual environments or your VMwares that are that are guest operating systems on your machine on your VMware. Okay, so like I said, first things first, currently we have DACP, has internet on it. We don't want it, we're going to change that. So let's first check CMD ipconfig. So you notice getting 101. So our VMware has taken effect, it's installed, so you get a full screen. That's one of the cool things about the VMware tools. Always try to install them, especially if you have a Windows installations, always install them so at least you can have a better feel of your the views and navigation back and forth within your virtual environment. Okay, so we do have a 101. So like I said, DHCP, that's not a good thing. So let's go and change to static. Static IP address, change adapter settings, one network adapter, properties, IP version 4, properties, and static configuration. So we want our server to have 192.168.1.10. We're going to use a 10, like that what we did for our packet tracer, run a packet tracer design implementation /24, and then we do have a gateway which is 192.168.1.1, and since we're going to configure DNS on this server, we want to make sure that the primary DNS points to itself, so which is the same IP address as the server itself. So 192.168.1.10, that'll be the primary DNS, because servers that house the DNS point to themselves. Okay. So okay. Let me check version 6. See, it's empty, so that's a good thing. That's good. And now we close. So now we have a static IP address on our server. That's great. The next thing is we want to assign a password to our administrator on the server. And to do that, we need to go to computer management. Let me see. So we can have access to our users, local users and groups. So users, administrator, we're going to give the password, set password, proceed. Make sure your password is complicated enough, otherwise it won't take it. That's the complexity that meets the requirements of the system, the server. Okay. So now admin has got a password set up, and that should do it for now. And I'm going to log in with admin and then delete this account over here, the default account we created during installation. I'm going to delete it. Okay. And then I'm gonna shut down. Shut down minus restart minus R to restart the system. Yep. It's about to restart. It's already scheduled for restarts. Okay. Just want to make sure restart is already kicked in. So very soon it will go to restart. So we just, yeah, there you go. So it's just restarting the server so I can use the administrator to log in before we start any other, services installations or adding roles services. Okay, it's coming up. And I'm hoping once we've added our services and what have you, then we'll basically turn one of our workstation back up and then see if we can join it to our server after we've done with the Active Directory role and feature configurations. Okay. So this is trying to log in. They use the default name because there was no password. It's just automatically logging me on. I need to sign out once it comes back online, and hopefully we can use the admin to sign back in. Okay. So now let's log out or sign out. And then administrator, and then the password that we used, that we created for it. And after this point, we also want to change the name of the server. Currently, I think it's going by the default Windows name. We don't want to use that. I always say to my students, always pick a name scheme uh, to help you identify your systems much better. So always pick a name scheme. Don't use the default names that the system gives you. Always try as much as possible to pick a name scheme that revolves around, something. It could be names of birds, names of countries, or names of cities within a country, names of villages within a region, uh, or names of stars in the galaxy. I remember my college. That was how they named their server. They used names of stars in the galaxy. So you had the nebulas, the uh, uh, what's one of the names of the stars in the galaxy? They had the Milky Way. It's not a star. It's a galaxy itself. Anyway, they just used name. I forgot some of the names of the stars in the galaxy, but they had the names. Just had a list of them, and they used them for their servers. That's how they name their system. I thought it was a very catchy way of basically naming your systems. Very good. So I also, came up with my own name scheme. I use names of villages within the region that I come from. If you're familiar with Deno, you should probably know where that which region I'm talking about. So, anyways, let's go ahead and change the name. Um, that should probably come on now. Let me minimize this. I want to get this computer properties, and then I want to go to advanced system settings so I can have access to computer names. And I'm going to change the computer. I don't want that name over here. I don't like that. So this happens to be an AD server. So AD, and that's okay. And it'll probably ask to restart again, which is okay. So the new name can take effect. Restart now. Oh, I should have deleted the that user account. Sure. Anyways, let's see. Once it loads back, I will delete that, and then we proceed with adding the roles and services that we want to add to the server, like the AD and then the DNS. Okay, so it's coming up. Just give some time for it to load up. Yes, this is gonna still come up. Okay, so it's up again. Just need to log out of it, and hopefully we should be alright with deleting that user account. Just load in. Desktop user log out. So administrator. Okay. So now let's go into computer management. MSC. Hopefully we can delete that default user that we created. So look at users, and we want to get rid of this guy here. So we want to delete that count. Yes. Okay, that's okay. Okay, great. So the server management dashboard happens to be the interface that you're going to be needing to set up your systems or add roles and services. Practically the interface that you need to do most of your server administration, so server settings and adding features and roles and what have you. It's basically your primary interface for all of that. Um, and and the management or on the manage, you'd have some menus show up, tools, all sorts of menus. This is where when you add roles and services, this is where they're going to be showing up at. So currently we don't really have much of anything besides the basic and default um, tools that comes with the installation. Manage wise, so you add roles and services, views, percentage help, you have options as well if you're stuck somewhere. Okay, so the manage can either be this side or that side, depending on which one you feel comfortable with. So I'm going to go to manage and say add a role. So now we want to, so basically with this design here, design layout, we have our server up and running. Now we want to add